To the family of our Congresswoman Shelia Jackson Lee, and to all of those that are gathered for this historic occasion, to certainly President and Secretary Clinton, and to our own icon, my mentor, Reverend Jesse Jackson, and others. A couple of weeks ago, Jason called me and said, "My mother's not doing well. I want to put the cell phone to her ear. She can't speak, and I want you to say some things to her and pray for her." And little did I know that it was my way, accommodated by Jason and blessed by Erica, to say goodbye to a gladiator and warrior unlike none other. When I was 17 years old, I was the youth director of Shirley Chisholm's campaign for president in '72. I did not meet a fighter with the same kind of commitment, dedication, and fearlessness as Shirley Chisholm had until I met Shelia Jackson Lee. There are many that are skilled in Washington. There are many that are eloquent, but they're scared. They're happy to be in the room. They are appointed by people, not anointed by God. But Shelia Jackson Lee, I've been in many rooms with her down through almost 30 years. She wasn't scared. No matter what room she was in, she changed the room. If we wasn't on the agenda, she changed the agenda. If we wasn't being discussed, she changed the discussion. If we were seated in the back, she walked us to the front. We had a hero in Shelia Jackson Lee. I can't think of a major struggle that she was not there. She would be at every march. She would be at every rally. And she would be there not hiding and ducking. She'd be there standing up front, loud and proud. America's a better place because of Shelia Jackson Lee. And let me say on behalf, we have 8 of our civil rights groups that we consistently stay together, and I'm sure many of them are here. And certainly Ben is speaking behind me, who we've done many cases together, and I can't remember anything from Martin Lee Anderson, Trayvon Martin, all the way to George Floyd, that Shelia wasn't there. David, earlier this week on Monday, President Biden took some of us on Air Force One to Austin, Texas, and went and spoke at the LBJ Library, 60th anniversary of Civil Rights Act. He said, "Before I go back to Washington, I want to go to Houston." And he came to Houston City Hall to see the family and see Shelia lay at stake. And as he stood there and we all talked, he talked about his respect for Shelia and his hopes that we would never let the struggle go. We owe it to Shelia not to mourn, but to, in our mourning, be active. Don't shame Shelia by leaving here and letting those that still have a bias and a bigotry run away unchecked and unaccounted. Don't mourn Shelia and shame Shelia. Shelia would want you to stand up and fight back. Shelia would want us to be present for the least of these, whether it's Sonia Massey, whether it's someone here like Sandra Bland in Texas, it's stand-up time. If you want to regard and remember Shelia, get some backbone and stand up and fight back. And I promise Shelia, we're going to fight every bigot and every racist, whether they are white, whether they're black, or whether they're orange. We're going to fight and keep fighting. They got an orange guy running around talking about black jobs. We're going to do a job on you in November. So let me say to the family, to Jason, to Erica, to the family, grandchildren, her beloved, doctor, all of you, we thank you for sharing Shelia with us. We thank you for understanding when she wasn't home, she was fighting for us. When she had to miss certain family outings, she was somewhere fighting for our families. And I come to thank you on behalf of all of us, because we owe you, because you gave your mother and grandmother to us. And lastly, I see they put all of the mortuary information and stuff in the program, but I want to say this to especially Erica and Jason. I don't know where and how you're going to lay your mother to rest, but I want to tell you a story. There was a lady in a certain city, certain little town, and all the kids in the neighborhood used to talk about her, because every day about 5 o'clock, they would see her go in the little corner grocery store. She'd get one little carton of milk and 1 or 2 slices of bread. And she'd cross the street in front of the store and walk into the cemetery. And they all kind of like started joking, that woman must be homeless and living in the cemetery. And they decided after about 3 or 4 days that they were going to follow her and see where she camped out. And they went, and certainly at 5 o'clock she came. And just like clockwork, she went in the store, bought a little carton of milk, got her 2 slices of bread, stopped at the street light on the corner, crossed over, and walked in the cemetery. And Erica, the kids start following, getting behind her, and she was walking, never seeing them following us. They were hiding behind trees and stuff, and she kept walking, and they kept following, and she kept walking. And finally, she got to the center of the cemetery, and she turned right, and she went up this walkway that led out of the cemetery. And they kept following and following, and she got up to the sidewalk outside the cemetery. And she crossed the street, and she walked over to this big mansion with some long steps. And she walked up the steps with her milk and her bread. And she reached in her bag and took out her keys. And she started sticking the key in the door to unlock the mansion. And it occurred to those children that the old lady didn't live in the cemetery. She just went through the cemetery to get home. Wherever y'all lay Shelia won't be there for long. Shelia just had to come this way to get home. Sheila's on her way home now, where the wicked will cease from troubling. She's on her way home now, where the weary will be at rest. She's on her way home where she ain't got to march no more. Go get your rest, Shelia. Go on home and be with the Lord. Thank you, God bless.